She turned for 5 seconds. That's all it took. A spilled coffee. A distracted glance. And her 3-year-old son, gone. The security cameras showed him walking behind a woman in a green scarf. And then, nothing. For 18 years, Emily Sanchez left her porch light on every night, hoping her boy would find his way home. She imagined it often, his voice cracking, his eyes full of tears, his arms reaching for her. But when the doorbell finally rang, he wasn't crying. He wasn't smiling. He said nothing at all. He just handed her a folded note. And everything Emily thought she knew about that day unraveled. It was the day before Christmas Eve. Emily and her 3-year-old son, Noah, were at Maplewood Mall trying to finish last-minute shopping. He had a red scarf, tiny sneakers, and sticky fingers from the cinnamon roll she'd bought him. "Don't let go," she'd said, gently gripping his mittened hand. But then someone bumped into her. Coffee spilled. Purse dropped. It was 5 seconds, maybe 6. And when she looked back down, Noah, the scarf was gone. So was her son. For years, she searched. Flyers, cold case detectives, community vigils. She joined every support group for missing children. Haunted forums, fought with mall security, hired private investigators, held on to hope like it was oxygen. But there was nothing. No leads, no ransom. Just a few seconds of mall footage and a fading photo of a smiling toddler with dimpled cheeks. Her husband, Carlos, left a year after the disappearance. "I can't breathe in this house," he'd whispered. "Then go," Emily had said. "I'll keep the porch light on." It was raining the night it happened. Emily was alone, sipping chamomile tea in her dark living room. Then ding dong. She opened the door and nearly dropped her mug. A tall, lean young man stood in the rain, soaked and silent. His eyes wide, glassy, seemed to study her. "Can I help you?" she asked softly. He said nothing. He handed her a folded piece of paper, and then he turned to leave. "Wait," she called out. "Who are you?" He paused, just for a moment, then walked away into the storm. Her hands trembled as she opened the note. It was scribbled in faint pencil, letters shaky but deliberate. "My name is Noah. They told me you were dead. I just found out last week. I'm not safe. I'll come back when I can. Please don't call the police." At the bottom, one line in red ink. "Ask about Ruth." Emily sank to the floor, sobbing. He was alive, and still in danger. The next morning, Emily called her only friend still in law enforcement, Detective Arlo Vega, now retired. He listened quietly as she read the note aloud. "Room 2117. Ring a bell?" she asked. Arlo was silent for a long time. That was the code name for a child trafficking case. Back in 2007, it was shut down before we could make arrests. What kind of place? An education program. Private, religious on the surface. But behind the walls, they were grooming kids, selling identities. Families paid to adopt off the record. Emily's heart dropped. "Are you saying someone bought my son?" "I'm saying it's possible. And if he's resurfacing now, it means someone let their guard down." Emily dug through her old storage bin. She found the mall footage again. There it was. Grainy, but clear enough. The woman in the green scarf. She handed the footage to Arlo. She's the one who led him away. "Look." Arlo froze. "Now, what?" He pulled out a printed article from his records, an old suspect list. There she was, Diane Everly, founder of the Light Haven program, a faith-based rescue center for orphan children. Never convicted, charges dropped, moved overseas. She was running room 217. Arlo whispered, "She stole my son." Emily received a message on Facebook from a burner account. A single sentence, "My name is Daniel Everly, but I think I used to be someone else." She replied immediately. The next message came hours later. "I'm not supposed to have access to this phone, but I found your name. It was on a file in the back of the chapel. I've had dreams, a red scarf, the smell of cinnamon, a woman crying my name. I think you're her." Emily sobbed into her pillow. "I am," she typed. "I'm your mother." Daniel Noah began sending her fragmented memories. A metal room, a man with gloves who changed their names. Daniel was the new name assigned after his baptism. He remembered a small girl named Lila who used to cry at night. He remembered punishments for asking about before. He remembered being told, "Your old life is gone, your real mother didn't want you. She's dead, you were saved." Emily felt the rage rise. "You were stolen, not saved." Emily asked him where he was. He replied, "Near Shepherd's Gate. There's a school building behind the church. Underground basement." That's where they keep the others. Others, girls, younger, taken recently. Some still ask for their moms. Noah, she typed, you need to get out. We'll go to the FBI. No, don't trust the police. They have people everywhere. I'll come when it's safe. When? Soon, I have to get one of the girls out. She's just 7. Her name's Lila. Emily froze. You said you remembered Lila. Not that one, he replied. This one's new. Emily opened the note again. She stared at the handwriting, then opened a drawer, pulled out one of Noah's old drawings from when he was 3. The letters, the curves, the grip. Something was wrong. The handwriting didn't match. Then she remembered Noah was left-handed. The boy at the door? He handed her the note with his right hand. She prayed for this moment for 18 years. A doorbell, a note, a name. But now the handwriting didn't match. The memories didn't align, and the boy who called her mom might not be her son at all. But Emily couldn't look away, because whoever he was running from something worse. Emily sat on the edge of her bed, the 2 notes side by side. One from her Noah, drawn with crayons when he was 3. One handed to her days ago by the silent boy at her doorstep. The letters were neat, controlled, written with the opposite hand. And yet, something in her chest whispered, but what if trauma changed him? What if he had to become someone else just to survive? She wanted to believe that, but she also needed the truth. Detective Arlo Vega met Emily at a local diner, his brow furrowed as he read through the messages from Daniel Everly. It's well crafted, he said. Specific memories, small emotional details, those are hard to fake. But his handwriting doesn't match. It's been 18 years, Em. He was 3. You can't hold that against him. Emily hesitated. He remembered Lila, the one from the file. What if he read the file? Arlo said quietly. What if he found it and used it to build a story? Emily blinked. Are you saying he might be conning me? I'm saying this might not be your son, but it might still be a child in danger. That night, Emily asked Daniel to send a voice recording. I just want to hear you say it, she messaged. An hour passed. Then her phone buzzed. Audio message received. She played it. I'm sorry I can't talk more. I'm not supposed to use this phone. But I remember your voice from the video. You called me Sweet Pea. No one else did. Just you. And I never forgot. Emily clutched the phone to her chest. She had called Noah that only once and off camera. The day he danced in his pajamas to a Christmas song. Sweet Pea, could it be real? Or was someone feeding him those memories? The next morning, a letter came in the mail. No return address. Inside, a photograph of a girl, brunette about 7, tear tracks on her cheeks. Written on the back, Lila, and underneath, he's not your son, but he's trying to save her. Emily's heart nearly stopped. She flipped the photo. There in the corner was a faint background, a wall with a symbol. It matched a charity Emily once donated to Children of Grace Ministries. She looked it up. Still active. Still raising money for rescue missions. Still hiring workers, like Diane Everly. Emily visited the charity under a fake name, posing as a donor. The receptionist smiled politely. Would you like a tour of our new learning center? Yes, Emily replied. Do you house children here too? Only our youngest. Some of them were rescued from dangerous countries, war zones. Emily's voice caught. Any from here. The woman hesitated. Just one recently. A special case. He doesn't speak much. Emily's breath caught. Can I meet him? I'm afraid that's not allowed. He's being evaluated. That night, another message came. I saw you today. Thank you for not saying my name. They're watching. Lila's getting weaker. I can't wait much longer. Emily stared at the screen. She typed back, Are you really Noah? No response. She tried again. Please, I need to know. Minutes passed. Then finally, no, I'm not. Emily dropped the phone. Everything inside her felt like it caved in. She had wanted so desperately to believe, and yet now he had admitted it. But why? The phone buzzed again. My real name is Jonas. I was brought here at 6. They trained me to forget, but I couldn't. They used your son's name to control me. Said if I ever left, I'd end up like him, dead. Emily met with Arlo again. His name is Jonas, she whispered. He's not my Noah, but he's still someone's boy. Arlo frowned. I just ran a search. Jonas Hawthorne, reported missing from St. Louis, taken from a gas station, never found. Emily felt her breath leave her body. They used Noah's story to shape him, she said, to keep him obedient. Arlo nodded slowly. Room 217 wasn't just trafficking, it was reprogramming. That night, Emily received a voice note. It was rushed, urgent. They found my phone, I might not be able to message again. Please get Lila out. You don't owe me anything. But she's still small. They haven't broken her yet. Then a pause. Tell my mom, I remember her perfume. Vanilla. If you find her, tell her I never forgot. Emily drove to a nearby town where Arlo had connected her with a former caseworker who remembered Jonas's file. The woman handed her a manila envelope. Inside, a school picture of Jonas at 5. And beside it, a family photo. A woman in her early 30s, blonde, laughing, wearing a vanilla-colored scarf. Emily turned it over. A handwritten message. To my sweet pea, come home when you're ready. Jonas wasn't her son, but he remembered the scent of vanilla, the warmth of a voice that once called him sweet pea. And now, he was risking his life for a little girl they were still trying to erase. Emily had already lost Noah, but this time she had the chance to save someone else's child, and maybe, in doing so, find a piece of her own soul again. The photo of the smiling blonde woman wearing the vanilla-colored scarf was folded around a note. It was dated, written in looping cursive. It read, to the person who finds him. His name is Jonas Elijah Hawthorne. He's kind. He loves frogs. He has a tiny scar behind his ear from when he fell off the sing. And he smells like rain after a storm. Please bring him home to me. Emily's hands trembled. This wasn't a note written for the police. It was written for Hope. Detective Arlo met her at the station's archives room. Jonas's mother was named Lauren Hawthorne. She worked as a florist in Missouri. After he disappeared, she sold the shop and vanished. Do we know where she went? Arlo frowned. We ran a trace on old insurance forms. One address pinged Nevada, a small town near Reno. Emily's heart jumped. We have to tell her. She needs to know he's alive. Arlo hesitated. Are you sure that's what's best for him? Emily looked up. You said it yourself. Room 217 erased these kids' identities. He deserves to remember his real name, and she deserves her son back. Emily traveled alone to Nevada. The town was quiet, dusty, the kind of place people go to disappear. She asked around for Lauren. Nobody knew. Then a girl at a local diner overheard her. You mean the flower lady? She lives near the edge of town. Doesn't come out much. Emily found the little house on the outskirts. Overgrown garden, porch covered in forgotten wind chimes. She knocked once. No answer. Then again. The door creaked open slowly, and a woman stood there, older, thinner, but unmistakable. The woman blinked. Yes? Are you? Lauren Hawthorne? The woman gripped the door tighter. Who's asking? Emily's voice cracked. I found your son. Lauren's hands flew to her mouth. She didn't cry. She simply sank to her knees. Emily showed her the photo of Jonas, now older. The recent messages. The voice note. He remembered your perfume, Emily said softly. Lauren shook her head. They told me I was crazy, that maybe he drowned, that maybe I dreamed it all. You didn't, Emily said. He's real, and he's alive. Where is he? Still inside, still risking his life for another girl. Lauren's voice broke. Then I'm gonna help bring him home. Back home, Emily's phone buzzed. A message from Jonas. They're transferring Lila. Said she's too attached to her old life. That's what they say before they make them forget. When? Emily typed. Tomorrow. Noon, I can't get her out alone. I'm coming, Emily wrote. We'll get her out together. Jonas responded. Thank you for believing me, even when I lied. Leah, Emily's tech-savvy niece, joined them in planning the extraction. They're using fake credentials in church vans. The building has a secondary exit. If we can trigger the fire alarm and enter through the side, Jonas can sneak Lila out while the staff panics. What about security? Arlo asked. I can spoof their cameras for 5 minutes, Leah said. That's all we'll have. Lauren turned to Emily. And if it doesn't work? Emily met her eyes. Then we make it work. The next day, noon, the team waited 2 blocks away. Leah's computer buzzed as she hacked into the surveillance. Emily, dressed as a maintenance worker, entered through the service hallway. Jonas messaged, We're ready. The fire alarm blared. Staff rushed toward the exits. Emily spotted Jonas holding Lila's hand, her tiny legs shaking with every step. They moved quickly. Too quickly. A man in a security uniform saw them. Hey, stop right. But Arlo tackled him from behind. The group ran, bundled into the van, and sped away. Leah cut all tracking signals. They were free. Emily and Lauren wrapped Jonas and Lila in blankets. They drove to a safe house on the outskirts of town. Lauren looked at her son, who had been staring silently at the floor. "Jonas," she whispered. He didn't look up until she gently reached out. "Do you remember this?" she asked, holding out a tiny frog keychain. His eyes widened. "You used to clip it to my backpack," he said. "Every day," Lauren smiled, tears running down her cheeks. He leaned into her, and for the first time since he was taken, she held her son. Later that night, Leah handed Emily a printed file. It was encrypted and had been hidden deep in the charity's system. "I don't think room 217 was just one place," Leah said. "It was a program, a network." Emily's eyes scanned the names, and then she stopped cold. Noah Sanchez, status closed. Final entry, unfit for integration. Asset reassigned. She blinked. Asset reassigned? Lauren leaned over. "What does that mean?" Arlo took the file. "That means he wasn't killed. He was placed somewhere else." "But why say unfit?" Leah's voice shook, because maybe he resisted. Emily sat in silence. Her real son might still be alive. Not forgotten. Not erased. Just living under another name. Another lie. And then, her phone buzzed. A new number. No message. Just a single image. A school ID. A teenage boy. Dark eyes. Same dimple. Name, Ethan Ramirez. The caption, "You're looking in the wrong direction." For 18 years, Emily believed her son was gone. Then a stranger rang her doorbell. Then a boy who wasn't hers asked for help. Then a child was saved and another mother reunited with her lost one. But Noah, her real son, was still missing. Until a single image appeared on her phone. A school ID. A familiar face. A different name. Ethan Ramirez. But when she finally saw him in person, he didn't remember her. And worse, he didn't want to. The photo was blurry but clear enough to make her heart stop. Same almond-shaped eyes, same half smile, same faint dimple. Ethan Ramirez. Age, senior at Ridge Hill Academy. Emily stared at it for hours. This wasn't a maybe. This wasn't a guess. This was him. But the name, it wasn't just new. It was deliberate. Ridge Hill Academy was a private prep school, an hour outside of the city. Emily went posing as a parent touring for her niece. The receptionist smiled politely. "Ethan, wonderful student. Polite, reserved. Doesn't speak much about his past, but a sharp mind. Any chance I could sit in on his class? I'm afraid that's not permitted, but you might see him at lunch." Emily waited. And then she saw him, wearing headphones, laughing with a friend. No signs of trauma, no hesitation, but no recognition either. She stepped close. "Ethan?" He turned, brows drawn. "Yeah? Do you recognize me?" He shook his head. "Sorry, should I?" Emily smiled, her voice catching. "Maybe not." Back at home, Leah pulled up Ethan Ramirez's file. Adopted at age 4, no birth record, papers signed by a private foundation, Children of Grace Ministries. Emily exhaled. Same people who had Jonas, same network. It says he was relocated from Texas. Original identity redacted. But Leah paused. "Look at this. A medical scan. Fracture records from when Ethan was 5. Same left wrist Noah had broken a week before he vanished." Emily's eyes filled. "It's him." Emily requested a meeting with Ethan's adoptive parents, Marco and Renee Ramirez. They agreed, cautiously. Emily sat on their couch, hands trembling. "I know this is going to sound insane, but I believe Ethan is my son, Noah. He was taken from me when he was 3. Renee's eyes widened. Marco shifted uncomfortably. We adopted him through a legal agency. Renee, they told us he was abandoned. No family." Emily slid the old photo across the table. "This is him. Before he was renamed. Please, ask him about the red scarf, the cinnamon roll at Maplewood Mall. He might not remember me, but he'll remember the smell." Renee nodded, hesitant. "We'll talk to him." A day passed. Then 2. No word. Then finally, a call. "Marco." We asked him. He said he doesn't remember anything before age 5. Nothing about scarves, or malls, or cinnamon. "He might have blocked it out," Emily said. "That's what trauma does. Or maybe he's not your son." "He is, I know it. Please, let me talk to him." A long pause. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Sanchez. We can't reopen this." And he hung up. That night, Emily received a message. "Blocked. Number. Stop looking for Ethan. He's where he belongs." Then another. "Next time you try to speak to him, you'll lose more than just a son." She sent it to Arlo. He traced the number. It's a burner, but the SIM card pings near Ridge Hill's administration building. You think the school's involved? Or someone watching the school? 2 days later, Emily returned to Ridge Hill, this time during a weekend soccer game. She waited in the parking lot, and just as students filtered out, there he was, alone, backpack slung low, AirPods in. She stepped out of the car, slowly. "Ethan." He looked up, surprised. "Oh, you again." "I don't want to scare you," she said gently. "I just want to show you something." She handed him a drawing, crayon on faded paper. A crooked stick figure of a boy with Noah scrawled at the top. Ethan stared at it. Then something flickered. He touched his temple. "Why do I know this?" Emily stepped closer. "'Cause you made it the day before you disappeared." He looked up. "I've seen this before." "Where?" "In my dreams." Later that night, Ethan messaged from a hidden account. "I looked in my closet, found an old box my parents said was from my baby stuff. Inside was a red scarf and a music box that plays the same tune from my dreams. Why did they lie to me?" Emily responded, tears streaming. "Because they were told to. Because someone wanted you erased." "I want to meet again," he typed. "But not at school. Somewhere quiet. Safe." Emily typed back, "I'll be there." Emily waited on the park bench. A soft breeze carried the scent of jasmine. Then footsteps. She turned, Ethan. But before they could speak, a car screeched to a stop. 2 men jumped out in black jackets. One grabbed Ethan, the other shoved Emily aside. "Run!" Ethan screamed. But they were gone, and all that remained was the red scarf lying in the grass. She thought the worst was behind her. She thought she'd finally found her son after 18 years of grief, guilt, and praying beneath porch lights. But just as he remembered, just as the fog began to clear, he was taken again. Now, Emily isn't just a grieving mother. She's a hunter, and she won't stop until she brings him home. The scarf lay crumpled in the grass, its red fibers soaking in dew and dust. Emily knelt down, hands shaking, eyes wide. No, no. She looked around. The car was already gone. No plates, no camera in the lot, no witnesses. But the imprint of his sneakers remained in the soft earth. "He was here," she whispered. They were watching. A voice behind her. "Emily?" It was Arlo. She collapsed into his arms. They took him again. Leah pulled up nearby security feeds from surrounding streets. There's the car." It turned onto Blackwood Avenue, then vanished past a freeway overpass. Arlo paused the footage. "Wait, zoom in on the bumper sticker." Leah enhanced the image. A simple logo, a dove carrying a branch. Emily froze. "That's Children of Grace. Same group that had Jonas. They're still moving kids," Arlo said. "And they just reclaimed one." Emily visited the Ramirezes again. This time, she wasn't calm. You knew. He wasn't yours." Renee looked devastated. "We were told his birth parents died in a fire. We never doubted it." "Then why did you hide the scarf?" Marco stepped in because he started asking questions. 2 years ago, nightmares. He remembered a woman's voice. Cinnamon rolls. He kept asking if he was ever at a mall. Emily's breath caught. "He remembered me. That's when they came," Marco said. "The people from the foundation. They said he was regressing and needed treatment." "You let them take him?" "They said he was a danger to himself." Back at Leah's, Emily and Arlo went deeper into the encrypted foundation files. Hidden inside a folder marked post-adoptive stabilization was a list of subjects. Subject 12, Daniel Everly, reprogram failed, escaped. Subject 19, Jonas Hawthorne, de-escalated, identity collapse partial. Subject 21, Ethan Ramirez, identity override pending, memory bleed suspected. Transfer approved. Arlo clenched his fist. They were monitoring every slip, every recovered memory, and they act fast, Leah said. As soon as the original identity resurfaces, they wipe it again, Emily whispered. Or worse, Emily received an anonymous message. "I can help you find him, but not through the police." She responded, "Who are you?" No reply. Then an hour later, coordinates. A rundown motel on the edge of state lines. Room 1. Emily, Arlo, and Leah drove out that night. They entered the room cautiously. Inside, a man in his 60s, pale, thin, one eye glassed over. He introduced himself as Father Jacob. I used to be one of them. One of the shepherds. Where's Ethan? Emily demanded. He's being taken to the quiet place. That's what they call it. A treatment center buried in the Smoky Mountains. It's where they reprogram the stubborn ones. How do we get there? He handed her a map, marked with an X. But you won't be the only ones going. They've sent someone to ensure he never leaves. Emily's voice quivered. Who? The collector. Later that night, Leah hacked into an internal database from the Foundation. A name flashed on the screen. Ruth Ellman, alias the collector. Role, asset handler. Specializes in removal, sedation, memory overrides. Formerly military intelligence. She's not just security, Arlo said. She's the last face they want their assets to see before they're erased. Emily stared at the profile picture. Cold eyes. A scar down the cheek. No emotion. She's with him now, Emily whispered. We have to beat her to the quiet place. Emily, Arlo, and Leah packed up. They left before dawn, following Father Jacob's directions to a facility buried past a private trail in the Smoky Mountains. We'll need to disable surveillance, Leah said. And you'll need someone who knows the terrain. That's when Jonas stepped forward. He had insisted on coming. I know how they think, he said. And Ethan saved Lila. It's my turn to save him. Emily hugged him tightly. You're braver than most grown men I've known. Ethan sat in a white room again, this time with restraints around his wrists. The walls pulsed with soft music. Smells of lavender and vanilla were piped in through vents. Conditioning. Ruth Ellman stood beside him. You had a good life, Ethan. Why throw it away for a fantasy? That woman, she's my mother. She's a trigger, that's all. He shook his head. I remember her laugh, her voice, her perfume. You're confused, but we'll help you. Soon, the noise in your mind will stop. He whispered. I don't want the noise to stop. That night, before reaching the final trail to the quiet place, Emily and Jonas shared a campfire. Do you think he'll remember me? She asked. He already does, Jonas said. That's why they're so desperate. Emily stared into the flame. I couldn't save you, or Noah. But this time you're not alone. At dawn, the group reached the gates of the quiet place. Arlo cut the fence. Jonas led them through the tree line. They reached the building's side entrance. Inside, the white halls buzzed with artificial calm. Then, footsteps. Emily turned a corner and froze. There stood Ethan, and next to him, Ruth Ellman, holding a syringe to his neck. One more step, Ruth said, her voice icy. And he forgets you forever. A mother's love knows no boundaries. But what if the only way to save your child means erasing every memory he has of you? Emily Sanchez has already lost her son once. And now, with the sedative pressed against his neck, she must decide if she's willing to lose him again. This time, by choice. Ruth Ellman's grip was steel, her expression unreadable. The needle hovered inches from Ethan's skin. I'm warning you, she said coldly. One more step, and he forgets everything. Emily stood frozen. Jonas and Arlo just behind her. Ethan looked dazed, half drugged already, but his eyes found Emily's. Mom? He whispered. Her heart broke. Yes, baby, she said softly. It's me. I remember the cinnamon rolls, the red scarf. Don't speak, Ruth barked. But Ethan didn't look away from her. Do you still love me? Emily's throat tightened. I never stopped. Suddenly, a loud crash behind Ruth. Leah had triggered the alarm. Red lights flashed, sirens blared. Security guards' voices echoed from the back halls. Ruth panicked, her grip loosening just enough. Arlo lunged forward, grabbing Ruth's arm. The syringe fell, broke. Jonas yanked Ethan back. Move, Emily yelled. They all ran. Down the corridor, through the exit, into the tree. But Ruth's voice echoed behind them. You'll never undo what we planted in him. Back at the mountain cabin, Ethan was silent, pale, curled into himself. Emily made him tea, sat beside him without speaking. He finally broke the silence. There are gaps. I don't know what's real. It's okay, Emily said. You don't have to remember everything. He looked at her, haunted. But I want to. I need to know who I was. Jonas stepped forward. Sometimes what they gave you wasn't just fake memories. Sometimes they buried the real ones with drugs, triggers, hypnosis. Leah nodded. We can try to reverse it, but it's risky. I'll do it, Ethan said. I need to know the truth. They used a form of EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, combined with scent triggers, familiar objects, and lullabies from Emily's old cassette tapes. Ethan lay still, eyes darting, whispering fragments. Green scarf, hand pulling me. Mall lights, cinnamon smell, crying, screaming, a man with gloves. His breathing grew rapid. Then he screamed, "No, don't take me!" Emily held his hand. "It's okay, I'm here now." Then silence. His eyes opened. He looked at her. "You were wearing a blue coat, and your voice shook when you said, 'Don't run off.'" Emily broke down. He remembered. They spent the night talking. Emily showed him baby photos, home videos. They laughed. They cried. For a moment, the horror faded. But then Ethan whispered. There were others. Others? In a locked room, at the quiet place. Younger than me. Some even babies. "They're not done, Mom. They're still building something." Jonas nodded grimly. "They used us to test obedience. But the new ones, they're conditioning them from birth." Leah turned pale. "We have to expose this." "We need evidence," Arlo said. "And we know where to get it," Emily added. "We go back in." To get back into the quiet place, they needed someone on the inside. Jonas volunteered. "I can say I escaped, pretend I'm broken, ready to return." Emily shook her head. "It's too dangerous." "So, is letting this continue?" They crafted a plan. Jonas would re-enter as a surrendered asset. Arlo would pose as a bounty contractor. Leah would monitor from outside. Ethan would stay with Emily, safe. Or so they thought. That night, someone knocked on the cabin door. Emily opened it. No one there, but a letter lay on the step. It read, "You can't save them all. You saved one. But what about the one you forgot?" Attached was a photo. A child. 5 years old. A girl. Same eyes as Ethan. Emily stared at the photo, her breath caught in her throat. She flipped it over, handwritten in red ink. Noah wasn't the only one taken that day. For 18 years, Emily Sanchez fought for one truth, to find the son who was stolen from her. And just when she held him again, the past knocked her once more, carrying the face of a child she didn't remember, but could never forget. Because it turns out, Noah wasn't the only one, and the system that took him had buried more than she ever imagined. Emily stood in the kitchen, her hand trembling, the photo still in her grip. A girl, wide hazel eyes, a chipped front tooth, a faint scar just below her lip. She looked no older than 5. The handwriting on the back chilled her. Subject 34B, reassigned before memory retention. DNA, Sanchez. Emily stared. "No, I only had Noah. I only carried one pregnancy." Arlo gently took the photo. "That's what you remember. But what if that memory was tampered with?" Emily shook her head. "No, that's impossible. I'd remember giving birth again. I would know." "Would you?" Leah asked. "Not if they erased it." Emily pulled out her old medical records. There it was. Her pregnancy with Noah recorded clearly. But then, a 6-month period where she had no OBGYN visits. No checkup, just blank. She flipped to the final delivery note. The doctor's name, Dr. Evelyn Krall. "Krall," she whispered. "Same last name as the man who led the room 217. "Could be a relative," Leah muttered. "Or a co-conspirator." "They didn't just steal Noah," Emily said. "They stole my memory of having another child." Ethan sat beside her. "Do you want to remember?" he asked softly. "Yes, even if it destroys me." They contacted a trauma therapist. Under guided hypnosis, Emily was taken back to the hospital. She described it slowly. "I'm on a table, there's pain, but it's foggy. I hear 2 cries, not 1. 2? The therapist asked. Emily began to cry. "Yes, a boy and a girl, but they only handed me 1. What happened to the other?" Emily gasped. She said, "We're taking her to NICU, but she never came back." She woke up screaming. "They took my daughter. They split the twins." Leah dove into the Foundation's archives. In a locked folder labeled Dual Assets Split Assignment, they found the confirmation, Subject 34A, male, assigned Ramirez family, recovered. Subject 34B, female, assigned trial site, location redacted. Twins? Leah said. Born same day, separated immediately, different names, different fates. Emily sat frozen. "My daughter. I never held her. I never even knew. Arlo placed a hand on her shoulder. Now you do, and now we find her. That night, Ethan searched through the belongings he had smuggled from his old home. Inside a worn Bible, he found a sealed envelope addressed to Laura. He opened it. Inside was a child's drawing of two kids holding hands. Above their heads, Noah and Laura. Ethan ran to Emily. Mom, I think she knew me. I think we played together. But you were so young, Emily whispered. Do you really remember her? Not her face, but her name feels warm. Like I said it a lot. Emily searched her old attic, digging through Noah's baby things. In a box, she found a small red ribbon. The label read, "For her, when she comes home." She didn't remember writing that, but the handwriting was hers. She collapsed to her knees. My body remembered, even when my mind didn't. Leah searched Laura Poth's birth date in the recast files. Dozens of Lauras appeared, most anonymized, but one stood out. Laura J., born the same hour as Noah, assigned to a family that moved across 3 states. Most recent location, New Haven, Connecticut. Arlo picked up his keys. We go tonight. Emily nodded. She's been alone long enough. They arrived at a 2-story house. Emily's heart pounded. A girl stood near the window, brushing her hair. Same hazel eyes, same lip scar. Emily froze. It's her. But as they watched, a man entered the room, harsh voice. The girl flinched. Did you hear that? Emily whispered. He's yelling. The girl backed away, visibly frightened. They didn't just raise her in secrecy, Arlo muttered. They raised her in fear. Emily's fists clenched. We're not leaving without her. As they watched from across the street, a dark van pulled up. 2 men stepped out. One wore a black jacket, the other carried a briefcase. They entered the house, and moments later, the lights in Laura's room turned off. She didn't know she had a daughter. She didn't remember the second cry in that hospital room. But now, after 18 years of silence, false records, and erased memories, Emily Sanchez stands across the street from a girl she never got to hold, Lara, her daughter. And just when she was finally close enough to see her face, the lights went out, and the men came in. Emily's breath fogged the window of the car as she watched the 2 figures walk through the front door. One wore a black coat, tall, broad shoulders. The other, smaller, held a locked silver case. Inside, Lara had vanished from view. Who are they? She whispered. Arlo zoomed in with binoculars. I don't know, but they aren't here for tea. Leah checked her laptop. No digital record of a van scheduled for this house, no delivery orders, no ride shares. It's them. Recast, Emily said grimly. They're here to take her back. Lara sat on her bed, knees tucked to her chest. She could hear them downstairs, arguing with her foster father, whispering, doors closing. Then footsteps coming up. Her door opened. The man with the black coat stepped in. Come with us. Why? You're being transferred, new placement, better home. Lara frowned. I'm not leaving. I just started school here. It's not a choice. The man grabbed her wrist. She screamed. Emily couldn't sit still anymore. She jumped out of the car. I'm going in. Wait, Arlo said. We need a plan. There's no time. She ran across the street, heart hammering. Ethan followed her, instinctively. Leah and Arlo grabbed their gear and followed fast. Emily reached the front door. It was locked. But she remembered something. Noah had taught her how to unlock the garden window when he was 10. She slipped around the side, pried it open, and climbed inside. The house smelled like mildew and silence. Then she heard it. A muffled cry from upstairs. Emily burst into the hallway, just as the man in black pulled Lara out of her room. Let her go, she yelled. The man turned. Recognition flickered across his face. Sanchez, you know my name? You weren't supposed to remember. He reached for something in his coat, but Arlo tackled him from behind, sending him into the wall. The smaller man bolted down the stairs. Ethan ran to Lara. It's okay. We're here to help. She looked at him, eyes wide. Who are you? Your brother. She froze. I don't have a brother. You do. You just forgot. Like they wanted you to. They didn't have much time. Leah intercepted the house's security system and disabled outgoing alerts. We've got 5 minutes. After that, their backup will arrive. Arlo bound the black coat man with zip ties and gagged him. Emily cradled Lara's face gently. You don't know me yet, but on your mom, and I promise. I'm not here to hurt you. Lara blinked, confused, then whispered, You smell like vanilla.
Emily broke.
You remember? Only in dreams. After returning to the safe house, Ethan searched the briefcase the second man had dropped during the escape. Inside, a coded drive. Leah decrypted it. What they found shattered them. It's a movement log, Leah said. Names, ages, locations, dozens of kids. How recent? Arlo asked. The last transfer was logged today. She clicked on the latest entry. Subject 34B, Lara S. Transfer, aborted, asset flagged as volatile, activate retrieval protocol. Then, another name. Subject 47A, status, reactive, location, unknown. Notes, active dangers, initiate phase. Emily leaned in. Who's 40? Leah's fingers flew across the keyboard. The profile popped up. The name Emily had never heard before. A face she had. It was Jonas. Arlo's phone buzzed. Locked number. He answered. A disguised voice spoke. You saved one, maybe two, but you let one loose. Who is this? Jonas was never just an asset, he was a variable, and variables destabilize systems. Emily grabbed the phone. If you heard him, we don't need to. He's coming back on his own. Why? Because he thinks we still have something he wants. What would that be? Silence. Then, his sister. The line went dead. Lara began to draw that night. Lines, swirls, faces. Emily sat beside her. What are you drawing? I don't know, I just see it. She turned the paper. A circle of children, all holding hands, one in the center, tied to a chair. Emily's blood ran cold. That's Jonas. Leah looked at the bottom corner, coordinates, drawn as numbers. I think she just mapped the facility Jonas is heading to. But how would she know that? Arlo asked. Emily stood slowly. Because they were connected. Far away, on a rainy road, Jonas walked alone, hood up, shoulders hunched. He carried only a small pack and the photo of Lara that had arrived anonymously days ago. He stopped at a bus stop. A car pulled up. The door opened. Inside sat the man from the foster home, and beside him, Ruth Ellman. Jonas stared, then stepped inside. Jonas escaped once, ran, hid, healed. But now he's walking back into the machine that broke him. Not because he trusts them, but because he remembers something they didn't erase. A girl's face. A promise unkept. And the truth that might destroy everything they've tried to hide. He thinks he's ready. But what he doesn't know is that they've been waiting for him all along. Rain tapped against the windows as Jonas sat silently in the back seat of the black sedan. Ruth Ellman didn't turn to look at him. You came willingly, she said, not a question. You sent the photo, he replied. I want answers. Ruth nodded slowly. Then behave, follow orders, and you'll get them. Jonas clenched his fists. He didn't plan to behave. He planned to finish what they started. The car pulled up to a hidden facility in the woods, larger than any Jonas remembered. Tall metal fences, red lights pulsing slowly. Security doubled since the last breach. A new sign read, Silo B, Re-Education Phase. Inside, the walls were soundproof. Doors locked from the outside, and children's laughter echoed faintly. Programmed, rehearsed hollow. Jonas was led to a windowless room. Inside, only a table and a chair. Ruth entered. A man followed, gray suit, clean-shaven, thin smile. Jonas, he greeted. You may call me Director Hall. Where's Lara? Jonas asked flatly. Safe. For now. Director Hall sat down across from Jonas. You weren't supposed to survive past Phase 3, but you did. Sorry to disappoint, Jonas said. On the contrary, Hall replied, you're perfect for Phase 5. What is that? Full erasure? No, Hall said, smiling slightly. Recruitment. Jonas blinked. You want me to join you? We're rebuilding. We need those who understand the pain and the purpose. If you agree to help us, we'll give you what you came for. And if I say no, then you and your sister will be forgotten again, permanently. Hall slid a laptop across the table. A video played. Lara. In a room with a therapist. Drawing, singing, smiling, but not freely, like a mirror trying to reflect warmth. She remembers more than we expected, Hall said. And that makes her dangerous. Jonas watched the footage, his jaw clenched. You conditioned her. We protected her from the chaos of origin. She was meant for obedience. Jonas looked up, eyes dark. She was meant to live. Back at the safe house, Emily sat by the fire, staring at Lara, who slept curled under a blanket. She still flinches when someone raises their voice, Emily said, and she's afraid of doors that lock. Arlo sat across from her, holding a map of the facility Jonas had entered. We think he's inside this eastern wing, he said. But without someone inside, we can't confirm. He won't betray us, Emily said. He's playing their game, just long enough to win it. We hope, Arlo replied. No, Emily said firmly. We believe. Jonas was taken to a black chamber. Inside, a chair. A boy younger than him sat strapped to it. Eyes wild, crying. A voice through the speaker. Test him. Let him administer the sedation. Ruth handed Jonas a syringe. He froze. You want me to drug a child? Obedience must be proven, she said coldly. As yours once was. Jonas looked down at the trembling boy. Then he nodded, stepped forward. He leaned close and whispered, Close your eyes, play asleep, trust me. Then he injected the needle into the chair's side panel, emptying it harmlessly. He turned to Ruth.
Done.
She watched him, too long, then nodded. That night, Ruth handed Jonas a flash drive. Your reward. Inside, dozens of files, each one with a name, a face, a location. Children labeled as assets, failed integrations, pending reclamations. Then, one that stopped him cold. Emily Sanchez, subject Omega. Risk tier, critical. Attached was a medical file from 19 years ago. A brain scan, a redacted report. Notes, subject believed to be carrying twins. One removed during induced sedation, memory modification, successful, risk of recall, minimal. Jonas's throat tightened. They hadn't just taken Lara. They'd altered Emily to forget. The next morning, Jonas pretended compliance. But as soon as Hall turned away, he inserted the flash drive into a hidden port Leah had coached him to find. The files uploaded to an off-grid server. Then, an alarm sounded. Hall's voice boomed. Jonas, you've made a mistake. Security swarmed the hallway. Jonas ran down a stairwell, through a vent, into the sublevel where they'd once locked him as a child. And there, behind a two-way mirror, he saw her, Lara, strapped to a chair, crying. And beside her, smiling, was Ruth. Jonas stepped into the room, slowly. Ruth looked up. We knew you'd come. The door locked behind him. Now, she said, lifting a second syringe. It's time you remembered everything you were built to forget. She advanced. Jonas didn't move. He was never supposed to remember. She was never supposed to know. And their mother, she was never meant to survive the grief they planted in her. But despite the lies, the pain, and the lost years, here they were, together. And the system that tried to break them was finally going to face what it could never control. A family that remembered everything. Ruth stepped forward, syringe in hand. Jonas held his ground. You think I came here unarmed? He said. We know you didn't, Ruth replied. That's what makes you valuable. She paused. You could still be part of this, Jonas. All the pain you've endured, we can wipe it clean. You can start over. He looked past her to Lara, strapped to the chair, her tear-filled eyes locked on him. She deserves her own memories, he said. So does every child you stole. Ruth didn't blink. Then remember this moment, because it's your last. She lunged forward. Jonas twisted, grabbed her wrist midair, and slammed her against the wall. The syringe fell. You trained me, he said coldly. That was your mistake. He unlocked Lara's restraints. You're okay now, he whispered. She nodded, trembling. I knew you'd come back. Meanwhile, Leah and Arlo were inside. Using the stolen access files Jonas uploaded, Leah disabled half the security grid. Doors opened. Sirens blared. Lights flashed red across the compound. Emily entered through a service door. In her hand, Noah's red scarf. Let them come, she whispered. Guards flooded the hallway. But behind Emily, dozens of children poured from their rooms. Some barefoot, some crying, all running toward freedom. Director Hall watched it all from the surveillance deck. They always crack eventually, he muttered. Even the best ones. Then Emily appeared at the doorway. Not this time. Hall turned, surprised. You should have stayed broken, he said. You should have stayed hidden, she replied. She stepped forward and showed him the thumb drive. This has everything. Names, locations, experiments, it's already been copied. You're done. Hall smirked. Do you think exposing the truth will bring your years back? No, Emily said. but it will keep others from losing theirs. Jonas led Lara and a handful of younger children through the sub-level halls. Leah's voice crackled through the earpiece. Structural failsafes are disabled. You've got 10 minutes before the system resets and locks you in. Copy that, Jonas said. Where are you? Emily asked. North wing, 2 floors down. Emily ran. When she reached them, Lara jumped into her arms. Mom! Emily held her tightly. We're going home, baby. Promise? With my whole heart. As they reached the final exit, Ruth reappeared, blood on her temple, gun in hand. You don't leave, she said. You don't get to win. Jonas stepped forward. You said I was built for obedience. You were wrong. You said I would forget, Emily added. But I remembered. I remembered the smell of her hair, the sound of Noah's laugh, the feel of tiny fingers grabbing my thumb. You can't erase that. Ruth's hand shook. We were saving them from a world of pain. You were the pain, Emily said. Jonas pulled a second drive from his pocket, the kill code for the internal server. He inserted it into the access panel. Ruth fired. The bullet missed. Leah's voice rang out over the loudspeaker. Code accepted. Lockdown in 60 seconds. Ruth dropped her weapon and slumped to the floor. It was supposed to work. Emily looked her dead in the eye, and never did. They burst through the service gate with seconds to spare. Behind them, the compound lights dimmed. Locks failed. Data was wiped. And a network of silence finally collapsed. Sirens echoed in the distance as federal agents tipped off by Arlo's contacts flooded the property. Children were wrapped in blankets. Names were written down. And finally, the healing could begin. Emily stood on the porch of a quiet home by the sea. Inside, laughter rang out. Ethan, Noah, strummed a guitar. Lara read a comic on the floor. Jonas helped set the table. Emily's eyes welled as she watched them. For 18 years, I waited, she whispered, for one knock. And I got 3. That evening, a letter arrived. Unmarked envelope. Inside, a photo. A younger Ruth, holding 2 infants, in a sticky note. There are more! But you gave us a start. Underneath was a final sentence. Don't stop now. Emily placed the photo in a box labeled proof, not just hope. Then she turned to her children. Ready? She asked. They nodded. Because this story was never just about one missing child. It was about all of them. And for every child they found, they'd light another porch light until none were left in the dark. If you had the chance to rewrite the ending of your deepest grief, would you face the pain again to help someone else escape theirs? The end. But for them, it was the beginning. Moral reflection. Some stories are stolen. Some truths are buried. But love, real love, always remembers its way home, even when the world tries to erase it. What did this full story teach you about memory, justice, and the power of love to rebuild what was broken? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments.